Hello and a very warm welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with me. I'm your host, I'm Rosie Moss, and I'm always here. Now, today's episode is a little bit different. I have got a repeat visitor. I've got the delectable Julie Farrin here today. Welcome back to the podcast, Julie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, for those of you who are regular listeners, you may remember Julie's episode. She came on about a year ago and talked about the death of her husband, Andy, to glioblastoma. Yes, I said it right. I've been practicing that, guys. And Julie and I really hit it off. And then you came along to my retreat, didn't you? The first ever widowed retreat, which was one of these incredibly unique bonding experiences. There were 10 of us. We bared our souls. We laughed. We cried. There wasn't much we didn't do. We had the best time, but it kind of bonded us in a way that I think only widows get. And then Julie made the fatal mistake of saying to me, if you ever need any help, let me know. And I put up my hand and I was like, yeah, actually, I do. So Julie and I have been kind of working collaboratively about trying to make some not significant changes for the podcast, but trying to find ways that we can do more outreach, that we can do more events. And, you know, a few of you have asked for merch and things like that. So Julie's become my kind of right-hand woman and also a really, really good friend of mine. So I'm really excited to have you back on today because we want to talk about, you know, we talked about Andy's death in the original podcast and we probably will touch on that today. But really what we're talking about is kind of the next bit. What happens after you've done the kind of mad, intense grief and you're trying to figure out what your life looks like next. Kind of after the initial aftermath, you know, the funeral's over, the big furor's over, and you're sort of surveying the rubble of your life and thinking, what the fuck do I do now? So Julie, what did you do first? What was your big, I'm going to seize back my life moment? Was there one? There might not have been.
Seizing back control, I guess, of what I needed and what I wanted. And I think I think we touched on this in my previous episode. So it was 8-9 months after Andy had died, I was made redundant. And I loved that job. I'd been in that job since before Andy had been diagnosed. And my brain was just, get another job. You need to get another job. I was very fortunate. Andy had death in service payout and pension. So there was money, there was, you know, but my brain was like, absolutely. Again, we had life insurance, so our mortgage had been paid off when he was diagnosed. But even though I had this kind of support and stability, financial stability, my brain was like, I have to get another job.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get another job.
Keep going.
Yeah. Which I did. Started that in the January, which was then approaching the 1 year anniversary, and I just lost it. I couldn't. I had panic attack in the toilets, and with my therapist, kind of realized I don't need to do this right now.
Yeah.
Like, why am I forcing myself to do something society expects? You know, I don't need to. I recognize, and I get shouted at a lot to say, I'm in a really fortunate position. It's really not at all. But I am in the position where I could just say, I need some time.
And I guess compared to some people in your situation, I can understand why you might use the word fortunate, because compared to somebody who perhaps has been left with all the bills to pay and the mortgage, then from the outside world, it does look fortunate. You know, I'm cautious of using that word, but what it gave you was a little bit of a safety net so that when the wheels fell off, you didn't lose your house.
Yeah. And that decision felt, okay, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
I'm taking back this power. I'm doing, regardless of what anyone on the outside might have an opinion about, might think, I need to do this. And I kind of recognized that I needed to do that. And yeah, I think that was the first thing that I was like, yeah, I'm taking control back now. I'm doing what I need and really checking in with myself. Like, this is actually what I need, like rather than just that kind of head
Keep your head
down.
down, keep going. Because you
Yeah,
you cared for Andy as well, didn't you, for quite a long time. So
yeah,
you not only were you juggling a job, you were also juggling the full-time job,
yeah,
and we're talking quite physical work as well as
yeah,
the emotional toll it takes
yeah.
on you. And
Mm,
actually, I think sometimes when that ends, when the person dies, you're almost like, I need to keep this busy because
mm,
otherwise those feelings are going to come and get me.
yeah,
But of course, you would be both physically and mentally absolutely
yeah.
exhausted.
Yeah. I and I hadn't realised until I kind of started this new job. I was like, I've got nothing left.
I'm just
Like,
picturing trying to use my brain in a new job 8 or 9 months after becoming widowed. And widow brain is a real thing, isn't it? It's like, we talk about baby brain when people can't think straight. I mean, I still blame it on my eldest is 16, but I think you're permanently
yeah,
damaged. Um,
yeah,
Now I'm wondering, Julie, as well, because you only don't have children, you didn't have any children. So I'm thinking again of these kind of societal expectations. And because I'm a mother, I had 3 young children. Nobody was saying to me, Rosie, are you going to go back to work? What are you going to do? Now, as it happened, I did have to run Ben's business because until the life insurance came out, there was some financial
yeah,
issues. But it was very haphazard, and I had a lot of help. But I'm wondering, and I want to talk about this kind of the difference really between somebody who is widowed with children and somebody who's widowed without. Because on the surface, you might sort of think, okay, well, it's obviously going to be a lot harder because you've got kids, you've got to keep going for them. But when you haven't, did you? And obviously, you've not lived both sides, but would you say, in your experience, that the way widowhood is perceived by the outside world when there aren't children involved differs?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I feel and I know we've talked about this. I think we talked about it at the retreat.
Mm.
I feel like I have imposter syndrome sometimes
Yeah.
in widow spaces, particularly not working as well.
Yeah.
And I've had people say to me, close people say to me, "What are you doing?
Yeah. What do you do all
Like,
day?
what do you do all day? Like, what?" Which is a fair question. Believe it or not, I do actually fill my time and days.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly the first kind of year or so not working, and it makes me feel a bit cringe to say this out loud. I was working on myself. I was
No,
in therapy.
you're in a safe space, Julie.
Like, I was working on myself. But I was, and journaling, yoga, walks, but the different and again, I'm always kind of thinking because there is so much in widow spaces
Hmm.
about raising children, dealing with children, which I don't know how you will do it. Like, I really don't. It's incredible and inspiring. No, I don't have that to deal with. But and I've worked on this a lot. I have no reason to get out of bed every day.
Hmm.
I do. I have me. Like, I am the reason to get out of bed every day. But to find that in myself has taken a really long time.
Mm.
I don't have a reason to cook in the evening. I don't, I lost 3.5 stone in the first kind of year and a half after Andy died, because I just didn't
No,
really care to eat. I
existing
couldn't
on
be
a slice of
bothered.
toast and a glass of wine. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was no reason. There's no reason to do a food shop. There's no reason to get out of bed and have a shower, or, but I didn't have that. I did. I did keep going, but I don't know why.
And it takes a while, doesn't it, to realize that your reason, you feel like your reason for getting up every morning has gone. There's no,
Mm,
but actually to do the work, because it is work and it's hard work, to
yeah,
realize that actually you are worth getting up in the morning, you are worth cooking a
yeah,
meal for, you are
yeah,
worth, doing
yeah,
that online yoga class or
yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
might be that brings
mm,
you some comfort. But I
yeah,
do think it's so interesting that you felt like an imposter,
yeah.
because widowhood does not say widowed with childrenhood, right?
No,
And yet your husband died, therefore by anybody's description, you are a widow, but that you didn't really feel like you belonged. And that makes me feel quite sad. And I'm thinking there must be other people who feel the same way. And the other thing is that, perhaps, and again, it's not a question that normal people can ask, but I feel like I can in my unique position. But did you think that perhaps you might have had children? Because I'm wondering again if that's a secondary loss, because whether you would have done or not, or whether you even wanted to or not, the decision's
yeah.
been taken away from you now.
Yeah, I mean, So, because again, I touched on this in the original podcast. So, we got married in May of 2019, and then he had his seizure mid-July of that year. So, we'd had maybe 2 months of wedded bliss.
Oh,
Um,
they say the honeymoon period runs out quickly, but that's pushing it a bit, right?
yeah. So yeah, we had a couple of months, and we went on a honeymoon, and we came home, and the plan always was to have a baby. Like, we wanted a family. I had, which I didn't realize at the time, but some gynecological health issues. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We'd started looking at things like IVF and insemination and stuff. That was what we wanted. Like,
It
we
was your
really, really
plan.
wanted. Yeah. And even when he was diagnosed, we froze his sperm because he was
Didn't know
very
that,
like,
Julie.
yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Because he was very like, yeah, we're still doing this. Like, it's still be the icing on the cake, and let's still do this. He was always so optimistic, and was in very much in denial that it was
Yeah.
terminal diagnosis. I knew the second we heard the words glioblastoma, I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't. And this is no judgment anyone's choices, or
Oh, but you have to do for you.
for me, I just couldn't envision bringing a child into the world knowing it would likely not get much time with its dad.
Yeah, if at all.
If at all. Yeah, I just couldn't do that. And I think, again, even after he died, do you think you might use it? And
Yeah.
but again, for me, it was a no, which even that is very conflicting, because in my mind, I've made this decision not to do it. So there's something in my head that's like, then you can't be sad about it. Like,
Which is
you made
crazy.
you made this choice. What are you so upset about? But it's a life that I never got to have, that we never got to have. I've dreamed about being a mum literally my entire life. Like, my mum is like she's like the mum's mum. She raised us. She ran a play group. Then my brothers started spitting out kids that are written knots, and she used to look after her 9 grandchildren. Like, she
9?
is 9. Oh yeah, 9 grandchildren, and she
Kelly
used to
wasn't
run
giving
around.
birth.
She used to run around the countryside. So I grew up. I mean, I was 11, 12 when my brothers started having kids. So I was always around kids, and that's what I wanted. Like, more than anything, was to be a mum, and to be faced with this situation that made me make a decision not to do that. Yeah, it still cuts. It's still
Yeah.
hard. And I think, again, I touched on it. So when I came on last year, I was a week and a half post hysterectomy.
Yeah, which I don't think I realised what a serious operation this was. And you were propped up with cushions and things, weren't you? I found out after.
And I was like,
I would have
from here
rescheduled for you, Julie.
I was like, no, I really want to do this.
That's
But
such
yeah,
a
from
widow
here up,
mentality. I'll just do it anyway.
I'm going to do it. And my friends were kind of here looking after me and sort of bringing in tea and things. But yeah, I was, because I had a total abdominal, so kind of basically what they would do for a cesarean. Except I didn't get a baby at the end of it.
I was going to say, this is the other thing. I've had 3 cesareans, and they are, really traumatic, big operations, particularly my second one, which was a crash. But at the end of it, I had all that lovely dopamine and this baby, and I had to get up and feed it. But there's joy associated to it. Where for you, there must have been that real sense of finality. This is it. This is the end of this particular road that I thought I might walk down. And that actually, it's given me all goosebumps, because that's sad, and that's another form of grief. Did you take this to your counsellor? I'm assuming you did. You've got a great counsellor, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, we've been working together for 3 years now, I think.
I'm the same with mine, and I keep, every time she goes on holiday, I'm like, bet I paid for that.
Yeah. We've had like a particularly bad week. I'm like, oh, she's going to make her money this week.
Yeah. She take her week fix.
Yes. We talked a lot, because it happened very quickly, the history. So I'd had a lot of issues, about 10 years, severe pain, the hospital visits, the gaslit by my GP, all the fun stuff that,
All the standard women's health stuff, yeah.
yeah. And then, yeah, kind of last January, I'd reached breaking point, and I was in a very dark place with the pain, and it was every 27 days, and it was, I just couldn't. I remember speaking to my friend that works in gynae, and I was like, I was in tears. I was like, I don't want to be here. I can't do this anymore. Planning my life around it every single
Yeah.
month, and again, I had the money, so I was like, I'm going private. I'm going to see a private gynecologist. She immediately was like, I'm fairly certain you've got endo, despite my own GP dismissing that over. And they wouldn't even, they did an, no, sorry, they did an ultrasound. There's no signs of it. I'm sure it's not that. So within kind of going for that appointment, I think I was in having the surgery in less than a month. So
Wow.
it was like,
Tell that was
I'm
private.
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna see a gynecologist to see what they, oh my God, I'm having a
Yeah.
hysterectomy. So it was
Not much
so,
time to get your head around it.
no,
And I actually thought that you knew you had endometriosis prior to this. So you actually found out that you'd had this. And I, again, I'm ashamed to say I knew very little about endometriosis until I met you. And also I read Lena Durham's book where she talks about
yes,
the
yeah,
agony she was in for years. And even a woman like her in a position of power with money,
yeah,
she was, it wasn't picked up by
no,
medical professionals. And it
yeah,
is an incredibly debilitating illness.
yeah,
And again, I'm not trying to compare my situation, but I have painful periods, nothing
mm,
like what you
yeah.
experienced. But I'd come off the coil to have, this is a lot of information for people, isn't it? A lot of gynae information. Are you enjoying this, lads?
Sorry, everyone.
And so after the baby, my periods started to come back, and this kind
Yeah,
of coincided with when Ben had died. Lovely, thank you, body, for that. And I just remember saying to my mum, I got to go back on the coil because what I cannot cope with, on top of everything else, is the menstrual pain and the hormone fluctuations. And it was just too much. It was just too much on top of everything else and then I'm now picturing you in that real, really excruciating agony whilst you're processing the loss of your husband. You haven't got him there to, put a hot water bottle on you
no,
and take
yeah,
care of you. And that
yeah,
must have felt really, really
yeah.
lonely.
I remember my first, and yeah, sorry for all the men listening.
They've all switched
My
off now,
first,
Julie, don't worry. They heard the word menstrual and went,
we're out. First kind of bleed after Andy had died, and they would, the first kind of 48, 72 hours, I would not be able to get out of bed, barely get off the side, like it was awful. And yeah, the first one after Andy had died, and yeah, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Because he would get up in the night, he would get me a hot water bottle, he would get my meds if I needed that, like he would cook for me and look after me, and it's that realization of like, oh,
just
it's
me.
just me.
Yeah. And even just
You're,
somebody to moan at about it, just to
yeah,
say it really hurts. And,
yeah,
they might not be able to do anything, but you
yeah,
just, because even now, if I've been a little bit under the weather the last couple of weeks,
mm,
I've not been, in bed with,
yeah,
attached to a drip or anything, but I felt low grade shit.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it is that, oh, nobody's coming to look after
no,
me.
no,
My kids don't care. I could be in a coffin. They'd be lifting the lid and asking what was for tea. You know, and rightly so. They're not
yeah,
my carers. They're not
yeah,
responsible for me.
yeah,
But that really taps into that widowed isolation. And we've all,
yeah,
most of us have got friends or family that we can message, but it's not
yeah,
the same as having your
no,
partner there. And
no,
I think we say this quite a lot. One of the things that we all seem to universally struggle with is this feeling of not being somebody's person, the most
yeah,
important person to somebody.
mhm,
And,
yeah,
yes, my mum and dad love me, my brother loves me, my friends love me,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not the same. It isn't. And when you're ill, that's when you really, really feel it the most.
Yeah, and it is, and again, even the hysterectomy, and I had my closest
You've
friends, my
got some
in-laws.
amazing friends, haven't you?
I really, really have, like they're basically my
Shout out to
family,
Dana
and
and Stan.
yeah, oh, they'll love that. Yeah, I've got incredible friends around me that come and look after me, but yeah, the emotional weight, I think, of the
Mm.
hysterectomy, and I couldn't process it before. in the immediate after it had happened. And I remember having my first session with Bryony, and she was like, how are you doing? And because of the pain that I was in, I was like, I can't cry. Like the pain that I was in, coughing, sneezing, crying, laughing, like I just couldn't. I think the first thing I did after I came out of surgery and recovery, I broke down in tears. And immediately I was like, the pain from crying. So something in my brain was like, we can't do that. So I shut everything in a box until I could I know it sounds weird, until I could physically cry because I couldn't let myself, because it was too
Too
painful.
painful. So
Too,
you can't
yeah,
even use the world's simplest, most effective release, which is a good
yeah,
old cry, and you
yeah.
can't even do that.
No, I couldn't. It was so probably maybe a month. Just that, because everything comes from your core, laughing,
Oh yeah,
shouting.
yeah, 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 yeah. You don't realise it
Yeah,
until it's injured, do you? No, I can remember that. Even trying to get out of bed and you're having to swing yourself round to the side of the
yeah,
bed and stand up, and
yeah,
then you're hunched, then your back
yeah,
aches.
yeah.
And for you found a lot of respite and comfort in yoga, and so
Mhm.
you couldn't then do your yoga. So
No.
I mean, are you fully healed now? You're back to full strength?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's a bit of and there is no ego in yoga. Oh, maybe a little bit. So I think it was about 3 weeks before my surgery, I managed to get up into a headstand, which was the
Whoop,
first
whoop.
time I'd kind of been able to do that. And yet it was 3 weeks before my surgery, and I was like, I did it. So I had this, and again, it's finding things for myself
Mhm.
to make me keep going. So I was like, I'm gonna get back there. I'm going to get back there. And Sam, who's my yoga teacher, we started off doing chair yoga because I couldn't get on the floor and get back up. So we did that for a number of weeks. I had my physio exercises, lots of pelvic floor, lots of core work, and it has been such a slog and taken so long. But literally a month ago, I got up into a headstand again, and I was like, yes, I did
Picking
it.
that,
I
look,
did
I've
it.
seen this picture and I think it might be the cover of this episode. Because isn't that just a wonderful metaphor as well?
Yeah,
Because you just keep going. And I can remember a couple of summers ago, I decided I wanted to do a handstand. And
yeah,
like it was like being a kid, when you're trying to learn how to do cartwheel and you just practice and you
yeah,
practice and you
yeah,
practice.
yeah,
And I can remember doing it. And I'd use like headstand chair thing, but like
yeah.
put your head in
I
a
know what you
toilet,
mean.
if I'm honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I practiced and practiced, and then I got it. And I felt like I'd reclaimed something of
yes,
me back. So I'd learned,
yeah,
teach an old dog new tricks and all that. I'd
yeah,
learned
mhm,
something new at a time when I was just really trying to cope. I've been really slack with doing yoga and I do need to get back into it. But again, and I'm just going to kind of go a different topic here, but you got the yoga and the weight loss for you was quite affirming, wasn't it? You've kind of
yeah,
discovered a confidence in your body that
yeah,
you perhaps had lost for a
yeah,
while. And I
yeah,
think that's really common with widows,
yeah,
particularly when they have been carers, because
yeah,
that sexual side of your
mm,
relationship goes, and
yeah,
nobody makes you feel sexy. You don't feel sexy. They don't feel sexy. And
no,
then after that, there's the guilt and the shame associated with it. We all know about widow's fire, and if you don't, well, you've got it coming.
yeah,
And it's really disconcerting.
yeah.
So I know that recently you did a boudoir shoot, and you've done one previously as well. So just talk to me a little bit about that and what that did for your confidence.
So the first one I did was just before I turned 40.
Hmm.
Because yeah, so I was 38 when Andy died. I kind of lost the way, and as we all know, identity is a
Hmm.
huge
Yeah.
thing.
Who the
Like,
fuck am I now?
yeah. And I think for me, there was a significant physical change as well in how I physically looked. And I was trying to figure that out, and who am I, and what do I want out of my life. And I always remember, it's really cheesy, seeing an episode of Sex and the City years and years and years ago, and Samantha does, well, it's not boudoir, she's just balls out naked, but does this photo shoot, and she's like, when I'm 60 I'm gonna look,
Yeah, I
and
remember
it
this
just,
now.
and she had this massive print right by her front door of her just fully naked. And I think coming up to 40, I was doing lots of reflection, and it's a big milestone age and blah, 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 blah. And something in my head just triggered this memory of this episode. And I was like, I'm going to do that. I want to do
That's
that.
that's that real fuck it mentality, isn't it?
Oh, it's literally the
Mm,
mantra I live. Fuck it, I'm
fuck it.
doing it. Yeah. And it was incredible, like absolutely incredible. Shout out to Redbow, photography. Alison is incredible. I just had the best time.
They make you
And
feel
I,
comfortable then, because I'm just
yeah,
like, oh my god, the idea of just stripping off. But then I say that I did do one with my one of my best
the,
friends as a photographer, but that was kind of different because I knew her and it was just in her living room. But even then, I was like,
it was nervy to begin with, but she puts you so at ease because you kind
mm,
of get there and there's the makeup artist and her and you're chatting a bit while you're having your hair and makeup done. So I'd kind of got to know them and obviously told them why I was here and all that kind of
pause
stuff.
for a
And
little cry.
obviously, and the standard, and I'm kind of telling them the story, and they're like, "Oh God," and I'm like, "I'm really sorry."
Yeah,
Like, how much
you're
you're
apologising to them. Yeah,
upsetting people. I was like, "I'm
yeah,
so sorry. I brought the mood
yeah. I'm
down."
so sorry, my
They're
husband died.
like, how ridiculous. So by the time we kind of went up and started doing it, I was like, I think I feel okay. And then there was the initial, oh God, is this just
Mhm.
going to be really cringy? So then she's like, I'm not showing you every picture I take, so be hit. She's like, but just look. And she showed me one of the pictures, and I was like, oh my God, is that me? Is and then you're like, oh, okay.
I'm a
Like
goddess.
literally, and seeing the pictures afterwards, yeah, I'm a woman and I'm sexy and I'm
Yeah,
attractive and I've got this strength and power and I'm gonna own my body and my sexuality and what makes me feel good. And yeah, it was amazing. And then I've kind of carried on following her and won a competition. So yeah, I went about a month or so ago and did another
yeah.
one.
And
Very
I've
exciting.
seen these photos, and I tell you what, they got me hot under the collar. They are stunning. There's somewhere you've been like, there's a wet t-shirt, you've been sprayed with
Yeah,
water. Like they
yeah.
look like, I think we all remember boudoir photos from like the 90s where they were very
Mm,
soft focus and
mm,
heavy makeup, and
mm.
they were a bit cheesy, let's be honest, some of
Yeah,
them. But
yeah.
these, and I'm not just saying this because you're my mate and she's not paying me for this either, they look like they're off a magazine or something. They are
Mm,
spectacular to the point that I think I'm going to book in for some as a little treat
yeah,
to myself at some point because yeah, I really can see the appeal of having these photos. I might never show them to anybody, but they're yours. And when
yeah,
we are, when our boobs are down to our belly buttons and our
yeah,
bums to hit the back of our knees, it'd be quite nice to look back and think, actually, even in my 40s, I was still a
yeah,
babe, right?
yeah. 100%. And I think there's so much around kind of being in your 40s and all that. But in the last probably 18 months, since I turned 40, I'm like, no, do you know what? I am capable and I am strong and I probably feel better now about myself in that way than I did when I was in my 20s.
I agree.
Is
No doubt I looked better naked in my 20s, but
yeah,
I wasn't confident.
no,
I can remember the awful criticism I would give to myself and,
yeah,
outfits, the tantrums where I went out on this gorgeous size 10 body. Whereas
yeah,
now I'm much more at peace with my body. I think
yeah,
there's a difference, isn't there, between being able to love your body, like your body, and being at peace. And I love my body. I love what it's done for me. I love that it created my kids. I love that it gets
yeah,
me from A to B. I don't love the fact my back aches all the time, but that's getting old, I think. But yeah, I think you just give less of a shit. You do,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's something about your 40s which I've found really, really empowering in a way that I
yeah,
never expected to. I
yeah,
was always terrified of aging, terrified of getting
yeah,
older. And now,
yeah,
but maybe that's widowhood for you a bit as well, because you think actually, and again, it's a bit cheesy and a bit cliched, but what a privilege! What a privilege to get some
yeah,
lines on my face and to,
yeah,
get into my
yeah.
50th decade, my fifth decade. I'm not
It's
there yet,
decade.
by the way, but in
Yeah,
5 years' time. Ben never got to. He died at 42. So perhaps there's something in that. We know that time is limited. We know we might not
yeah.
get the next decade. So enjoy the one you're in.
And I think it is that. I mean, I say to mum and to anyone, aging is a privilege.
Mhm.
Like it is a privilege. That being said, I mean, the creams
I'm
and
going
the,
to do it with Botox, right? I'm not a
yeah.
sadist.
But yeah, it is a privilege.
Yeah,
And
it really is.
also owning it. Like I'm not done. Like I am not
No.
done. Like I've got a lot more life left to live.
But just
Like
think about that compared to the you a few years ago, where you were, you couldn't really find a reason to get up in the morning. You're having to kind of really pull yourself through the days, and now
yeah,
your attitude is, "I'm not done yet. There's
no,
plenty of living left in me," and it's
and
so true. With a good wind, we could live for another 40 odd years. I want to make the most out of
yeah,
that.
100%, 100%.
Julie, what about men? What about dating? How's that for you?
Um,
She's giving me the death stare.
yeah, I mean, I kind of started dipping my toe into the world of online dating
Mm.
a while ago.
Like nice pictures of men with fish.
And just, oh, the perfect Sunday. I mean,
Oh
do
my
all men
God, pub and a walk.
having a walk?
Where are all these people?
Good
I've never
Lord.
seen anyone in the pub and going for a walk on a Sunday.
No,
They're all
is that
lying in
all
bed
we're
with a
talking?
hangover like normal people.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, pub and a walk on a Sunday, I'm not mad at that, but please let it not be your whole
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
personality.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is that it? Seriously. It was not great
No.
out there. Like, and I found this weird, like I wanted to like, oh, I'm a widow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got this weird urge that I just need to get it
Get it out
out
there.
there. And sort of, but then that also feels weird. Like you're just doing this
Mm.
massive oversharing with someone that you've just started talking to. And it was, I mean, there was one guy I met where we were talking and he'd said, oh, do you listen to any podcasts? And I was like, well, actually I do. And he's like, oh, because he kind of knew that I was a widow at that point. And I was like, oh, I was actually a guest on the podcast. And he's, oh, do you mind if I listen to it? And I was like, I mean, you're either
Great
gonna
way of getting your story out there to somebody.
just
Yeah, just listen to episode whatever.
yeah, and if you're still interested, give me a call. If you're not, fine. And he was really keen, and he rang me afterwards, and he was, oh, that was amazing, and blah blah blah, and really great, really lovely. Let's meet for a coffee. I was actually on my way to visit you, and I stopped and met him for a coffee. It was okay,
Just not
like
there.
it wasn't there, but then he ghosted me, and I was like,
Oh, that's the worst. When you don't like them anyway and they
no.
ghost you, you're like, at least let me do this first.
Yeah,
But
it
even
was a
that,
lot.
even putting yourself out on the apps, and the apps are horrible. I mean,
Mm,
I do know people who've met life partners on there, so we know it works for some people. But it's
mm.
just like it's almost like going into a virtual singles club full of people that have been hurt.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
you become really adept, don't you? Like if there's a group photo, they're always the ugly one. If they're wearing a hat in their
100%.
profile photo, they're definitely bald, which doesn't bother me. So
Yeah.
just own it, right?
No. Yeah.
If they, no time wasters, that sort of thing, that they've definitely been hurt.
Yeah.
You can tell the misogynists, you can tell the ones that have
Oh,
spent too much time in the manosphere,
yeah.
and it becomes a chore. And I've always said,
Mm,
when I'm ready to meet somebody in a serious way, I
yeah.
guess I have to treat it like a job. Like, you have to pay for the subscriptions, you have to spend the
Yeah.
time, you have to. My cousin, I don't think she listens, so I can say this, but she would say to me, they've got, a window of opportunity to do a FaceTime call, and then and that, like, it's almost like you're interviewing, which
Yeah.
feels so kind of non-organic and
Yeah.
natural. And think back to how we used to meet partners. It was work, it was
Yeah.
the pub, nightclubs. Well,
Mutual friends.
I work in my office on my own,
Yeah.
so that's not going to happen. I don't go. I occasionally go to the pub, but I'm there to talk to my friends. I don't go clubbing. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't even go to the gym or anything. So you think, well, if I want to meet somebody, I'm going to have to
That's it.
proactively do
Yeah.
this. And quite
Yeah.
frankly, right now, it feels like just too much of a demand on my time. And also, I think I don't necessarily want a long-term partner. I would just like some companionship.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where I had got to. Like, I mean, there was one guy, I think I did tell you, and we'd been messaging and he was really intense, he was really keen. Um, and it was Friday, I sat and I said, oh, I'm busy, I'm seeing my friends, but we'd only been messaging for a few days. So I was like, oh, I'm like not going to be replying to messages. I'm busy, I've got plans, blah, blah, blah. We'll catch up on Monday. And he'd sent a couple of messages, but I was like, I've told him I'm busy, I'm doing shit, I'm not dicking around with messaging back. Monday morning, I woke up to a message from him just basically ripping into me. I knew you were like all the others, blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah, blah.
Jesus.
And then the pièce de resistance, I bet your husband's glad he's dead and doesn't have to put up with your shit anymore.
Oh, Mike, I don't think I did know that because that's
No, I didn't, yeah.
Jesus Christ. You probably didn't tell me because you know I'd track him down.
Probably, yeah. So I blocked him and then I was like, nah. And then I unblocked him and sent like an absolute essay of like,
Irate.
you need some help. Oh my God, what kind, who says something like this? What went through your head
Like in the
that
first
made you think
instance,
this?
who's that kind of level of neediness? You know, you've put your boundary in place. You've said, "I'm going to be doing this with my friends. I'm not going to be checking in on my
Yeah,
with you." And the fact that he's continued to message anyway, which is a
yeah,
breach of that boundary you put in place,
yeah,
and then to be so nasty, and that's kind of
yeah,
what freaks me out is they can put on quite a good veneer of being, you
yeah.
know, normal functioning
Mm,
humans, and then you chip beneath, and then you never know what you're going
yeah.
to find.
And it's this
Oh,
kind of flip flop between these real fuckboys that
mm,
just want, which I'm not really up for, or seemingly men that I'm looking for my forever
yeah.
person and so
Or they've got kids and they want a mum because when they have their kids at the weekend, they want somebody to help them with them.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely not. So yeah, I just yeah, I think for me looking for
a bit
something
more
organic,
organic.
yeah,
Yeah,
is and someone that's kind of on the same page as me.
yeah,
Like I'm not saying I don't want that at some point, but I'm still finding me. Like
yeah,
I'm still finding
yeah,
me. And I want, if I'm going to be with someone, I want to be with someone that's going to respect that and let me do that and want me to do that. Not, when are we moving it? Never.
never.
I not got room for anyone else.
Once you've got the bed to yourself, it's very hard to go
Yeah,
back.
yeah. There's no. I've got an entire dressing room that's my clothes. There is no room for anyone else's clothes in this
No, they can
house.
bring a
Like,
toothbrush if they must.
yeah, I've got somewhere you can put a bag of things.
Yeah,
Might be able to clear a drawer out for you, but that's about it.
they'd have to be
Um,
special.
they would have to be special for it. So yeah, I think I'm good with that. And I've got my girls and I've
Yeah,
got so much great stuff in my life. Um, working with you, which I'm loving. So
me
yeah,
too. And prior to Andy, this is off piece, it's me being nosy. Prior to Andy, were you a serial monogamist? Did you go from relationship to relationship? Yeah,
yeah,
same as. And you know, when I look back, even after Ben died, I had a brief fling with a guy. You know, for me, it was very
mhm,
casual. He wanted something more from it, and then I got into a relationship. You know, with John, who I ultimately married. So I haven't really ever spent time alone. I was always had a boyfriend, and now I that kind of initial panic, if you like, I was like, oh, you know, I need to get like, I'm getting old, you know, I need to meet
yeah,
somebody before I'm too old.
yeah,
And then I took a real kind of step back and realized that actually, like you've said, icky though it sounds, I'm learning who I am right now. And I'm learning who I am as a widow, as a mum,
yeah,
as a podcaster, as a human. And
yeah,
actually, until I've figured all that out, I won't know what I want. And somebody who comes
yeah,
into my life is going to have to complement my life. I'm not prepared to change. You know, we all make compromises in a relationship, but like you said, you know, I can't foresee myself living with somebody. And for me, the kids are a big factor here. I
yeah,
wouldn't want somebody in their lives as a paternal role, you know,
yeah,
but, you know, never say never to these things. But actually,
absolutely.
I want to be really secure in who I am, to know that it's somebody that's going to add to my life, not, you know, not complete me or my other
Yeah,
half or anything like that, because I'm enough on my own.
yeah,
And actually,
yeah,
it's scary, but it's also exciting, you know.
yeah,
And I would rather be on my own because I'm
mm,
not really on my own. I have my kids, I
yeah,
have my friends, I have my
yeah,
family, and do life with them
yeah,
than do it with the wrong person.
yeah.
You know,
And I
we,
think it's that like you said, it has to be someone that's going to complement,
yeah,
like not consume. Like you're
yeah,
not coming in to consume my life. You're not, being a we and all of that
yeah,
stuff. I don't want that. Like I did, that's what I had with Andy, and it was
yeah,
amazing. But yeah, I don't
no,
want that. I need to be independent,
yeah,
and if a man is going to be in my life, he needs to respect that, he and needs to complement that and
yeah,
not take from that, and
yeah.
that's, yeah,
And also, if I'm honest, from the other side of the coin, I don't know how much I could complement somebody else's life at the moment. So I wouldn't want to do that to them, because
Yeah.
my time is stretched. It's
Yeah.
primarily I'm trying to focus on my family. Work
Yeah.
is exciting, and I want to be
Yeah.
able to dedicate time to that. And then you've got
Yeah.
your friends and your
Yeah.
interests or your hobbies.
Mm.
And I think, actually, what time have I got to give to another
Yeah.
person?
Where's that gonna fit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't think I'd be the best partner anyway at the moment. But,
Yeah.
I guess if it's the right person, then you find the time and the energy, and, you make time for them. But right now, I don't want it enough to do that.
Yeah.
I can remember saying to my counsellor in one session, I said, when I get lonely enough, that's when I'll start looking for someone. And she just looked at me and shook her head, and she was like, no, this is not what we're doing here. You do not go looking
No.
for someone because you're lonely. You fix yourself, you get comfortable in your
Yeah.
own skin, and then you can bring somebody in. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's where I've been going wrong, is it?
Yeah. Needs done that. And it is that, like, I just want someone to, I honestly, I do think growing up watching Disney movies, like, did some intrinsic damage. Like, it's,
Being in a really loving, healthy relationship, because damn it, I want that back. I felt like I
yeah.
was teased. I really thought I was going to be one of those cheesy
Yeah.
couples that are holding hands and walking on the beach in their 80s. And I feel a
Yeah.
bit cheated by that. But I
Yeah.
am also aware that if I was to meet somebody in the next 5 years, say, and stay with them, that could be a far longer
Yeah.
relationship than I had with Ben. So
Yeah.
there's still hope for me for that romantic connection. I want somebody to go on my saga cruises with in my dotage, somebody to carry my bags. But again, I think there is a sense of empowerment and pride in figuring out how to go it alone. And there's so many of us out there now, women who have left marriages for whatever reason in their midlife. And there's like a
Yeah.
whole tribe of us out there. We're all
Yeah.
reclaiming ourselves. And I
Yeah.
mean, if I was a man, I'd be fucking terrified of women in their 40s. No wonder
I think
that's
a
why
lot.
they like on younger women. It's nothing to do with the perky
Yeah.
tits.
No. No.
Knew
No.
it.
It's not. Because I see things all the time, and it's like being in my 40s is like kind of being the teenage version of myself, but with like money
Knowledge.
and independence and knowledge, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like 100%. I mean, I did a 90s day rave thing with my
Amazing.
girls, which was so much fun, a couple of weekends ago, and we weren't like dressing up, but it was kind of 90s vibes. So I had, the choker
Yeah.
and
Space
like kind of
buns.
face buns and the sort of Rimmel lipstick and all the fun stuff. And I was sending pictures to Sam, who's known me since I was like 14, and she sent me back some old school pictures from back in the day of me kind of dressed similarly, and she was like, babe, you look better now than you did then. And I
Yes.
was,
Yes. It's because I know how to apply foundation now. Thank you for noticing. Orange tide mark. Yeah.
but there is something about that. We are a force to be
We are.
reckoned
We
with.
absolutely are. Yeah. Now, I know this because of our personal connection, but I know that at the moment, you are witnessing a close friend go through the loss of her partner. Were they married? Is it her husband?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they married last September.
Oh,
They'd been together for
oh
20
wow. Okay.
plus years. Yeah.
And
Mm.
one of the reasons I'm bringing this up today is
Mm.
because what we, again, perhaps don't talk about enough is what happens when you have to watch from the outside somebody going through something. Might not be the same, no grief journey is the same, but you're watching them, their husband get sick and then ultimately die, and then the shock, the horror, the admin, the paperwork. And that must be stirring up quite a lot of feelings for you. Are you happy to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's quite recent. I think just over a week ago that he passed. He had been very poorly for a long time. And I've been friends. We've been friends. We worked together for 7 years now, maybe. So she absolutely has been a massive support and friend and rock through everything I've been through. Um, and to see someone that I love so much on the same path effectively, oh God, my heart hurts. Like, it's just, yeah, I just keep thinking, how can I fix this? How
Mm,
can I have, but knowing that I can't.
yeah.
Um, And yeah, certain situations have really triggered me,
Mm.
um, kind of taken me back to Andy's end of life period. Certain, you know, 'cause I went to see them when he was still with us, and yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, there were a couple of situations. The day he died, she messaged me in the morning, and I had a session with my counsellor that morning, and I was
Good
like, I've
timing.
messaged. Yeah, so I said I've messaged her and said like I'll come over. And Bryony was like, "Oh, are we sure that
Mm.
do we?" And I was like, "No, I'll be fine." I mean, I wasn't, cried all the way home. Um, but I think initially for me, and again, having a great counsellor really made the difference. But when it all kind of when they got the news that he was end of life, I think for about a week, I think we did speak, like it was like I was back there
Yeah.
again. It was like I was living Andy's end of life again, all the flashbacks, of which I suppose is kind of borderline PTSD. It, you know, all of that stuff was just like a constant flood. And again, having a session, reminding myself that this isn't happening to me. This time I'm grief adjacent
Mm.
rather than
In the eye of the
and
storm.
yeah, and trying to have that separation and have that distance, but also not to be distant, and hold her hand through this as much as I can, because I remember in those early days, and I think we all do, where people just didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
They just
a couple of things that stood out to me then when you were talking. And firstly was the idea of watching it happen as an observer, because when you're in the middle of it, you probably don't realise how horrific it is until afterwards, because you're just in survival mode. You're making sure that meds are given, washing is done, you know, house is kept to a reasonable standard. And then to watch it, it's almost like reliving it, but through as an observer. And then the other thing that I'm thinking as you're talking there is this idea of how much of ourselves can we give to others in this situation?
yeah,
Because I would have loved to have somebody like you in my life when Ben died, somebody that had been
I,
through it and could come to me and say, you know, this is terrible, you're going to be, but you're going to be okay, you know.
yeah,
And actually, but what I'm thinking about is that I'm trying to think of a kind of sensitive way of saying this, because I'm not saying that your friend or anybody else has an expectation that we will step
no,
up, but we
no,
almost put that obligation on ourselves, right? I've been through this, I can
mhm,
help. It's that
yeah,
desire to fix and to help other
yeah,
people, which is really honourable and really lovely. But sometimes that can come at the cost of our own peace and of our own healing.
yeah,
So I think what your counsellor has said to you, I mean, you obviously disregarded her and went anyway, but that's because you needed
yeah,
to do that. So you knew that you needed to.
yeah,
But also you'll be aware that you can't be there every single day. You can't
yeah,
be her first port of call every
yeah,
single day. You can be adjacent and you can be a really
yeah,
good friend and support,
yeah,
but it's knowing where that boundary stops. And
yeah,
I found it doing this to a certain degree. I felt this real
yeah,
obligation. Every time I spoke to
mm,
people, their stories would percolate around my head and I'd be thinking, oh, I must check in with this person. And then it got to the point, you know, I've spoken to hundreds of people now. It was too much. I can't. So I stay, you know, you stay in touch with people, but you
yeah,
realize you can't carry everybody through it. You can
no,
be there to guide them, but you can't carry them.
no. I mean, no, and I'm holding her hand through as much as I possibly can. I mean, I'm messaging her frequently, but even from her perspective, and I keep saying to her, stop it, because the funeral obviously is in a
Mm,
couple of weeks. I have been to one funeral since Andy's, which was quite recent. It was my uncle. He was quite a bit
it's
older,
different,
and
isn't it?
it was different. And it was also back in Hemel Hempstead, like where my family is, sort of Watford, St Albans way. Um, this is at the same crematorium that Andy's service was held.
Ooh.
And God love her, we're FaceTiming, and she was like, and I said to her, I was like, look, is it going to be at Colchester Creme? And she was like, I'm so sorry, like I'm so sorry. Are you going to be? Who are you bringing with you? I need, and I'm like, oh my
She's
God,
being
stop, stop,
so
stop, stop, stop.
considerate of you. How kind.
And she will, like the day I went over to see her her husband, I think she could tell I was a little bit wobbly when because the district nurses had come out when I was, and I'm like,
Hmm.
this is
Yeah,
really, really
very
bringing shit back to
familiar.
me. And she messaged me when I got home. Thank you so much. I love you. Are you okay? How are you doing?
Oh.
And it's that I'm like, yes, this is I'm paying a price. And it sounds awful to I'm paying a price.
Mhm.
Like
It's
it is
coming at a
taking
cost.
some,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, but I couldn't not like she's such an incredible person, such an incredible woman. And yeah, I just wanna be there for her. And even if it's in the tiniest ways, and we've had conversations and she's like, I feel this or I feel that, and I don't know how to explain it. And I'm like, you don't need to. That's so normal. It's okay. All of those things that, well, your book gives people.
Thank you.
Everyone should read a copy,
Nice little
by the
plug
way.
there. Well done.
There we go. But we didn't have in the early
Mm.
stages, and you'd be sitting there sometimes like, I'm such a bad person because
Yeah.
I'm angry that they've died, or
Or
I'm
I'm horny.
guilty. Yeah, like all of this stuff that you sit there kind of going nuts about. We're all the same. We
Yeah.
all feel it. And yes, our journeys are all different, but those intrinsic moments
Hmm.
are so similar. We might feel them at different times, but come on, all of us have sat there and been like, how dare you die?
Yeah.
How
Oh,
dare you?
yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm so angry at you.
Yeah.
But it's taken me all this time to be like, that's normal. That's
Yeah.
okay. I don't
Because
need
you
to
feel like
feel
a
guilt.
monster, don't you? You
Oh
feel
my
like a
God, yeah.
monster. And I think that's the
Yeah.
importance of the tribe and what we do here, the sharing of the stories, because,
Yeah. Yeah.
the comments and the responses we get to almost every episode is somebody will reach out and say, oh my God, you made me feel less alone. Like, please thank your guest. And I think there is that power in sharing stories and finding your tribe, which it
Yeah.
really is essential for healing. So
Yeah.
I think you're doing a really amazing job of supporting your friend. And, maybe she'll come find the WAF community, bring her along to something. It would be lovely to meet her.
100%.
And actually,
100%.
that's a beautiful segue into talking about events, isn't it? Look at that. I didn't plan that. That just happened like butter.
Because you're a professional.
I am a professional, yes. I'm not. So retreats, right? So we were really excited. We had a date booked for the retreat. People are booking in. It's all going really well. And I realised I'm moving house. I mean, I knew that this was going to happen at some point, but it looks like it might be happening sooner. And I have got a lot of stuff to empty. And the idea of trying to make this house look retreat ready, because
Yeah.
you got to make sure that everything works and the clean bedding and
Yeah.
da 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 da, and making sure that it was going to be the most beautiful, healing, restful experience for my guests. And Julie and I had a call last week, and I just said, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm running on empty. And it's like you were talking right at the beginning of this episode about taking a step back and saying, shit, I'm going to run out of gas here. And quite frankly, much as the podcast, the retreats, everything is really important to me, looking after my kids is my priority. And I felt like I was stretched too thin. So
Yeah.
reluctantly, I've cancelled and people have been refunded and everybody's been really lovely. And there will be one. There will be one, whether it's the end of this year or early next year, there will be an overnight retreat for sure. I just need to get my shit together first, really. So what we're going to do instead is day retreats, aren't we? We're going to, because and the other thing is, I only needed 10 to fill the retreat. So, but a lot of responses from people were things like, it's too expensive. Now, I don't believe that the price point is too high. I think that there's a price point for everybody, right? But what I thought is, can we do something that's a bit cheaper? Can we do something that's more affordable and also something that is more accessible? Because that was the other thing is, a lot of people that want to come are parents, are widowed parents.
Yeah.
And much like me, I can't just up sticks and go away for a weekend on a whim.
Yeah.
I would love to. So even the logistics of getting my parents to have my kids for a date, I understand it, and it is tough. So we're thinking that day retreats would be a really lovely option.
Yeah.
You'll still get all of the same nurturing, the same love. There'll still be, while we've got this venue, there'll be, the swimming pool and ice bath and things like that. So we've got lots of lovely, exciting things, but it will just be condensed into a day, and the price point will reflect this. And also, perhaps we can increase numbers. We're going to keep them quite small initially, because I mean, let's level up. We're new to this, aren't we? I did one retreat. You weren't even part of the team then. So
No,
I'm so
no.
relieved to have somebody to help me this time. But it's something that it's really important to me because of this power of connection and bringing people together. And I also want to do things that are free as well. I have to consider my own overheads, and so that's why the retreats are paid for. But we're doing a Father's Day picnic, which is I'm really looking forward to it. It's in Kent. It's really near my house because I'm arranging it. So damn it, you can all come to me. But again, Julie lives in Essex, so we're going to look at doing some things around about Essex and possibly even north of the country as well. But if you are free and you want to come, it's on Father's Day, which is the 21st of June. All the details are on the Instagram page, so you can find that, or sign up to the newsletter and then you won't miss anything. And you'd be very, very welcome. There's no organised fun. There's no stand up and introduce yourself. You don't have to talk about your dead person if you don't want to. You can if you want. It's just, and the kids can come, because that's the other thing, is trying to find something to do with kids. So yeah, hopefully a few of you will come along, because it'd be really lovely to meet you all and give you a big fat widow hug in person, wouldn't it?
Reminds me, I was like, oh, I should invite my in-laws because they're in Kent.
That
So I was
would be
like,
lovely. There we go. It's going to be like a big, everybody can come. I've got this lovely image of the sun shining and the kids all playing and eating ice creams. It's going to piss down.
I really hope not.
Well,
I hope we're done with that.
We did Woodstock, the festival, a couple of years ago, and the weather had been glorious leading up to it. And then a couple of days before, it started to rain, and it was all right. It was dry enough to go ahead, but it wasn't the same. But this is the great British weather. There's naffle we can do about that.
Yeah. Well, if it is going to be torrential that day, then
we'll call it off, I suppose, won't we? We'll go to the pub. We'll go to the pub.
Yeah.
Sounds
go to the pub somewhere. Sounds like a good shout. But yeah, I think it'd be really lovely, and doing the day retreats as well. I'm really looking forward to doing that and meeting some more wids.
And it actually, if you think about it, you say you've got 10 people coming to the weekend, and I can only really do 2 of them a year. But with the day ones, I can do more and potentially have more people there. And also men can come as well. They won't all be co-ed. Some will be single sex, because I do think there's an argument for having that safe place for women to come on their own and talk. And potentially maybe a men's one in the future. I don't know if there's enough of you men out there that would like that. Please let me know. But I like the idea of it not being restricted, because actually I find it really fascinating talking to male widows, and their experience is different to ours. So I think there's something to be said for that, for joining us up together. We don't discriminate here.
Absolutely.
No. Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming back on today. It's been an absolute delight to talk to you, as always. And I just think I think maybe more of this. Maybe we need more of it, talking about what life looks like when the dust has settled, and what we're doing to reclaim our identities again and our womanhood. And we'll try and avoid too much menstruation chat in the next episode.
Yeah.
I don't want to alienate any. I think mostly women listen anyway. I do have some lovely men as well. Not in my life, just in the podcast. On that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. So thank you ever so much for listening today. If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in the episode, you can reach out. It's on Instagram, widowed_AF, or the website is widowedaf.com. Big thank you to Julie for coming back on and bearing her soul. She bared more than her soul in her photo shoot. I will be back with you soon with more tales from the forefront of widowhood. Until next time, guys, you take care of yourselves and each other out there. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you think someone else may benefit from this, please do share. We'd also really appreciate a quick review. It helps more people find the show.